Well, welcome along the press conference day on Thursday of Fight Week. Always an exciting time as we close in on the big show here in Manchester, a terrific sporting city. We saw the football last night. The place is absolutely buzzing and so much going on. Matt Macklin with me, and we'll be throughout the next few days. First up, we've got a press conference for Callum Smith. What a wonderful achievement your old stablemate had out in Saudi.
Yeah, I was really delighted for Calum. He put on a first-class performance. Always knew he had it in him. But, you know, going in against someone like George Groves, who was so proven time and time again at that level, you're just hoping that he performs and he can make that jump. So you don't make it till you make it. And he stepped up with absolute flying colours and put on an unbelievable. I've never seen anyone do that to George Groves. And I know George Groves has had, you know, some tough fights and everything. But, you know, he's coming off a great win against Eubank. I know he had the injury, etc. But nonetheless, I thought it was an absolutely top-class performance by Calum.
Yeah, I think most in the trade probably just sided with Groves on experience, but Callum Smith's performance was absolutely tip-top. He got behind his jab. Physically, he looked so strong. And he was patient too as well.
Yeah, and I mean, what surprised me in the fight a little bit was that at no point did he really look under pressure. I never got the feeling that he was in trouble or that Groves could even hurt him. And Groves is a massive puncher, huge to the weight. But at no stage of the fight did I ever get that feeling watching it, where every time Calum caught him with the right hand and he was landing them, you know, with great regularity, I thought, he's hurting him, he's buzzing him every time he's catching him. You can see he's not comfortable in there. Even when the rounds were close, I always had the feeling that Calum was the boss in there. He was dictating, he was in charge. And then when he did catch him with that check left hook, which is, catch and counter left hook, which is his trademark shot, he closed the show in style.
So it's all about what happens next for Calum. Where do you think we'll see him in 2019? Obviously, there's talk of a big fight at Anfield at some point, maybe in the spring. There's so many different opponents who he could tussle with in this super middleweight division, because I think he's happy here at 12 stone. Talk about him possibly going to light heavy at some point, but I think he's happy here.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge for the weight. He looks like a big light heavyweight, but he doesn't really struggle. And I know that for a fact myself. I've been in the gym with him. He walks around not that far off the weight. He makes it fairly comfortably. And, you know, why move up if you don't have to? I think there's in recent years, a lot of people seem like you have to go up in weights and through the weights for greatness, but I don't think that's the case. Costa Sue never moved out of the 140-pound division. You know, I think there's a lot to be. Marvin Hagler didn't stay in your division, dominate it, unify the division, clean it up, and it's such a great division as well at the moment anyway. And I think probably Callum Smith is probably the number one in the division. He's the Ring Magazine champion, and he's young, he's fresh. I think he's got years in him.
So a couple of names, throw them out there that you'd like to see Calum fight.
Golovkin, maybe. You know, he's Canelo if he moves up. I know he's fighting Rocky Fielding. Will he stay up there? Who knows? I think
big fights,
huge fights. I mean, the middleweight division's been red hot with the Canelo Golovkin rematch. Maybe there'll be a trilogy. But I mean, either of those guys would, if they could step up and fight Callum Smith. Well, you're talking about Anfield. I think it would need to be someone of that kind of caliber to do that, really.
Now, Callum Smith at Anfield next spring against someone like Gennady Golovkin. It's a thing dreams are made of. Can he become a massive star, Calum? He's such a nice, down-to-earth guy. You know, he's quite quiet. Can he become that sort of big box office attraction?
Well, you know, he doesn't have the personality of a Conor McGregor, does he? You know what I mean? Or a Prince Nassim Hamed. But
people like it.
But people like him. What's not to like? He's very, he's a little bit shy. But I think the thing with Calum is his performances is what will take him up there, like he did with Groves. You know, Groves has huge profile, very, you know, that bit of beef with Carl Froch and everything. So everyone who George Groves was, and then when Calum went in and put on such a great performance, that stuck his profile up there.
I think Calum is just coming on stage here for the first of 3 press conferences, so stay with us.
afternoon and welcome to Stoller Hall here in Manchester, England. Before we start today's press conference, we have a very special VIP in the house, and we'd like to present him with a very special presentation. So Callum Smith from Liverpool, as we know, won the World Boxing Super Series in Saudi Arabia when he beat George Groves to retain his WBC Diamond Belt. He won the WBA Super, and he also has now won the Ring Magazine belt. This belt is held by very few people. I think right now 6 people hold it, including Lomachenko, Usyk, Sorungvisai, Canelo. Very few people have this belt. It is very prestigious. And here to present the actual belt, I'd like to present to you now the Associate Editor of Ring Magazine, Mr. Tom Gray.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, David. And thanks, everybody, for coming along today. 3 press conferences today. The first, obviously, to celebrate a fantastic win in Saudi Arabia. These things, as we know, to any boxing fan, this is the creme de la creme. Joe Gallagher is very excited to even be sitting next to a Ring Magazine belt, even though, for those who know, he was also Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. He didn't tell anyone about it, but it's a fantastic achievement and really shows the quality of the fighter, I believe. And any fighter growing up has their eye on becoming that Ring Magazine champion and ultimately be given that #1 position in the division. It was a great night back in Jeddah. Callum Smith, who's really been patient, and, you know, we thank the World Boxing Super Series and Cali Saulam for giving him the opportunity to go into a tournament where we knew that if he kept winning, eventually he would get his world title shot. The world title shot came against arguably the #1 in the division at the time in George Groves, WBA Super Champion, and it was a fantastic performance, knocking George Groves out to become WBA Super Champion, Ring Magazine Champion, and also retain his WBC Diamond Belt. This is the first time Callum's been before the UK media in force, so we just wanted to bring him and congratulate him today. Talk about the plans for the future. Got a big Liverpool fan here, got a top scouser here, and sort of converted scouser down the end in Joe. And obviously the plan for us is very simple, and it's that Anfield date in the summer. And before we speak to Joe and Calum, I'm going to pass over to Adam Smith from Sky Sports.
Yeah, I want to say huge congratulations to Calum. I think it was a wonderful performance out in Saudi. A lot of people picked George Groves beforehand from the experience that he had, but I thought it was punch perfect from Calum. I thought his jab was extraordinary. I thought he used his size, but as I said to him and Joe, I think the patience he showed as well in the performance was very, very special. He is a special fighter. He's a lovely guy as well, and as Eddie said, I'm a big Liverpool fan. I was at Anfield for the Cardiff game a couple of weeks ago, and Calum brought the belt onto the pitch. He got a wonderful ovation, not just from the cop, but from everyone around the ground. I know it's his dream to fight at Anfield, and if there's anything that we can do from our side, we want to make that dream come true next year for him. So a huge congratulations. I think a lot of people haven't realised how special Callum's been for a long, long time. He's waited his time, he's waited his chance, and he deserves to be seen now as the leading super middleweight in the world. And there are some wonderful, wonderful fights ahead for him. So many congratulations, Calum.
Joe, special night in Jeddah, great scenes, and although it was a surreal event in a way, and a lot more successful than we thought it might be, and a great atmosphere out there, a huge performance, a huge achievement, and finally, after a long time in waiting, Callum Smith is world champion, and, you know, importantly, as you say, the Ring Magazine champion as well.
Yeah, it was obviously my biggest achievement to date, steering a fighter from day one to the top of the mountain. He's swam the channel now. He's the world champion. He went into the tournament to become a world champion. And not only in the final did he beat a world champion, he beat the recognised #1 fighter in the world in George Groves, who is a great fighter. I'm a huge fan of George Groves. Whatever he chooses to do going forward now, I wish him the best, whether he fights again or retires. He's had a great career, and it was just fitting that no one could question that Callum Smith is now not the #1 super middleweight on the planet. like you say, Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, it was a surreal experience. They looked after us well, and we'll be able to look back fondly in that event on that night. Calum put on a very disciplined performance. We knew we had to with George. George can take you out with either hand. He's got a good team behind him, a good trainer, Shane McGuigan, and we had to have the best Callum Smith. But I did say all along during the tournament, I know Calum won on points against Scotland, then Nicky Holskin, but I've always said when Callum's motivated, Calum will deliver, and his career to date shows that. In British title, 1 round, European title, 1 round, English title, 1 round, and world title against the #1 in the world, 7 rounds. So I motivated Callum Smith as one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet. And the plan now moving forward, Callum's going to have a rest, enjoy fatherhood in the new year, and then hopefully we'll fight in Anfield. And the names we're looking to fight now, as I just said to you, Calum needs to be motivated. We're after the big guns, whether that does be Canelo Alvarez. Andre Ward is a preferred choice. We'd love to get him out of retirement. I think that'll be a great fight. Triple G is another one. You know as well, Eddie. There's like the Badou Jacks, the Adonis Stevensons. But they're the type of fighters we're looking for Callum Smith at Anfield. That'll pack Anfield. Liverpool Football Club Anfield have been denied that big fight. We've been fortunate in Manchester with Ben Eubank, Old Trafford, Ricky Hatton down the road at Manchester City. Tony has done Goodison. Now the red side of Liverpool needs their night, and they've got Callum Smith, the #1 in the world, ready to fight one of the big names in world boxing. And hopefully now, like you say, Sky, Adam Smith, yourself, go out there and deliver the kid the big night, and we'll have another crazy night in Liverpool.
Some of those fights you talked about, you know, those guys preferably for them at 175. Is that an option now for Calum? Not necessarily long term, but on a fight-by-fight basis to look outside of the weight class as well?
Well, I think Calum will be able to say that. I just think to myself, Callum Smith is set out to do what he wanted to do in boxing. That was become the #1 in the world in his weight division. He's done that. Everyone sees the size of Calum. If there was an Andre Ward fight, you'd be foolish not to pass that opportunity up to fight him, whether he wants to come back at 175 or try and do 168. We've got to look outside of the boxes. I don't think they'd be too keen to come over to the UK. So we need you and Matchroom and DAZN and Sky and Bazza to open up the safe, get the money out and entice them over, and let's have a great night in Liverpool. And Liverpool's a great fight city, whether you're Everton or Liverpool, they all unite, they all come together and they all support their own. And I'm just picturing and visualising Anfield that night and them singing You'll Never Walk Alone, and spine-tingling stuff. And I think that's what we're looking to try and strive and deliver next year.
Calum, welcome. We know you take everything in your stride, but as Joe said from day one with us as well, saw some funny pictures of you and me signing contracts back then. I didn't really know what I was doing then. I only know a little bit what I'm doing now, to be honest with you. But you've stayed patient, and a massive achievement for you in Jeddah, and now massive nights ahead.
Yeah, it was a massive achievement. The aim was always to become a world champion, and I believed the day I turned professional that I was good enough to do it. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was always confident I'd get there. But to win a Ring magazine is something, you know, as a kid you'd always see the belt and you never really think us Brits can win one. It's always the big Americans and the top names who have one. So to have one, I am proud, but no, I'm not finished. I feel like my career's only just getting started. I've reached the top, but there's a lot of big fights out there for me, a lot of fights with massive names, and they're the fights that excite me. I didn't turn professional to fight fighters who I'm expected to win or low-level fights. I want to test myself against the best and see how good I really am before I'm finished, and I don't want any regrets. And I think the only way of doing that is to test myself against the best and see how good I really am, and I've achieved that. But I do believe the future's bright. There's a lot of big names in my division or around my division. I'm very big for the weight, and Joe mentioned the move up in weight, but I think there's a lot of big fights and unfinished business at super middle before I think about a move to 175. I'm ranked #1 in the world, but I'd like to cement that. I'd like to beat some of the other champions, and unification fights is definitely something that does excite me. So the future's bright. 2018's been a very, very good year for me, but I believe 2019 can top it.
The bigger names in the division, or the other belt holders, aren't necessarily the bigger names in world boxing. Good fighters, sort of like Ramirez and Usyk. Is the process and is the key unifications or the marquee fights? I mean, Joe mentioned Canelo. I think Golovkin is a fight that I think makes great sense at Anfield in May. Spoke to Tom Loeffler about that. Is it to capture the other belts or just be in those marquee fights as well?
Both. No, unification fights are definitely something I always wanted to be involved in, but like you said, they are very good fighters, but they're not household names, and I don't think a fight against Ramirez or Benavidez sells well at Anfield as much as a Golovkin does, who is a household name. Yeah, the Golovkin fight wouldn't be for another belt, so either or. If you're offering me a unification fight, I'd jump at that. If I was to fight a big name at Anfield, then I'd jump at that. It's just either or. I've achieved a world title, the big fight.
And finally, we always talked about the Anfield nights, and you know, it's always been a dream, but now a real opportunity. You were there last weekend, great reception, great chance to fill that place this summer would be very special.
Yeah, it's something that's always been mentioned. Every time Liverpool gets an half-decent fighter, you get all fight at Anfield, and I've always just laughed it off and said yeah, but never actually believed it'd be possible, and I think the possibilities of it happening now are greater than ever. They've just got the licence to hold other sporting events, and I've just won a world title within the same month, so it seems like the ball's rolling, and I've got a great team around me, yourself, Sky, Joe, and I think if it's going to happen, then now's the time to do it.
Well done, Cam. We're all very proud of you. Great performance, and this really is only the beginning. A guy who has very, very few miles on the clock, and he's now established world champion, Ring Magazine champion, and a standout clear #1 in the 168-pound division. We're going to have a quick photo up here with all of us guys, and then we're going to be in the undercard press conference for Usyk Bellew. Once again, round of applause for the new world champion, Callum Smith.
going to be in since I've been with mine, isn't it? Maybe size a little bit, to be honest. Oh, God. How you doing, all right?
Iya, iya. Iya, sip. Bro kan terjemahnya. Iya.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to Stoller Hall here in Manchester, England for the official Undercard press conference for Saturday night's huge night of boxing action, He Who Dares. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Matchroom Boxing. It'll be broadcast live on Sky Sports Box Office here in the UK and in the United States exclusively on DAZN. So, like I mentioned, we're here in the heart of the city of Manchester, and that's really what Saturday's card is all about. It's called He Who Dares, and it's the first unification bout to take place on British soil in the modern 3 or 4 belt era. Oleksandr Usyk, Tony Bellew at the top of the card. But the undercard is stacked. A lot of great guys sitting up here on the dais. Of course, pretty boy Josh Kelly. You got the Rickster, Ricky Burns, and Scotty Cardle in a great domestic dust-up. You've got Hyde and Riakporhe. 2 undefeated fighters, cruiserweights going at it, a great Nixon-Nil fight for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Championship. And of course, the White Rhino, the very popular heavyweight fighter, is up here also. But the chief support, of course, the Mancunian Anthony $1 Million Crolla. He's at the top of the chief support of this card, and he's fighting for that WBA final eliminator against Dowd Jordan. And Anthony won his world title right across the street when he fought Darlis Perez at the Manchester Arena. So we're here and now to tell you all about it in detail. I'm going to turn it over to the managing director, the president of Matchroom Boxing, Mr. Eddie Hearn.
Thanks, Dave. Could you do that thing where you say my name twice? Thank you, thank you. I like that. I like that. I like that. I've always wanted you to do that for me, Dave. Thank you. Thanks for joining us again. Second press conference of the 3, and like David said, a stacked card, a special night of boxing. The first ever undisputed fight in British boxing history in Usyk against Bellew, but so many important fights on this card, this undercard, and so many fighters coming through to look to challenge for world titles, to win their first belts, to keep their careers alive, to keep their crazy careers alive in the case of Pappy pay-per-view down the end there as well. Before we speak to the fighters, I'm going to pass over to our host broadcasters, Sky Sports, head of boxing, Callum Smith, to say a few words.
Thanks, Eddie. We're delighted to be back in Manchester. What a time for sport. The football last night, the derby on Sunday. And there's nothing like the arena here. I think we've had so many great nights over the years. Ricky Hatton, of course, owned the place. It was wonderful to see him go from strength to strength. And fantastic fights, great happenings that occur inside there. And Anthony Crolla, of course, has taken the mantle on in recent years. He's had a great supporting cast as well. There's a real special feel about that Manchester Arena, and we're delighted to be back. 6 o'clock on Sky Sports Box Office on Saturday night, and what a card! It's a feast. It's the young prospects. It's the excellent, intriguing matches. Can't wait to see Ricky Burns and Scotty Cardle, which has been put together at short notice, and both fighters deserve a lot of credit for that. But there's some really good stuff, of course, David Allen and his heavyweight and his great cult character that he's provided British boxing over the last couple of years. But he can fight as well, I tell you that much. And, you know, Josh Kelly, the Young Boxer of the Year, we had a great ceremony down in London recently to crown him that. He's a dad as well of a few days. We're talking about whether he's getting any sleep. I hope he is before Saturday night. But it really is good. And to see Anthony and Dowdy down in a terrific chief support as well, I think that's a really good fight. I think that's going to be a nip and tuck and toe-to-toe all the way. So a beautiful supporting card to a fabulous main event that we'll be talking about a lot later on.
Thanks, Adam. Dave, we'll start with you down the end. Probably the most active fighter in Britain right now, and certainly one of the most talked about. But more importantly, someone who's learning and improving, and another important step for you on Saturday night.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Out again. Very, very active. Very busy. Yeah. I'm just really happy just to be involved in all these fantastic shows. I'm just really happy to be out and about. That's about it, really, for me today. My opponent's not here. I've not really got much else to say.
I've seen you across many social media sites, Iron Brew, I think, all the way through to Babe Station as well. There's an air, though, that, you know, it's becoming a little bit more serious for you now. Obviously, we know that's good fun, and you have the ability to mix that up with the seriousness as well. But how serious are you taking this now, and how far away do you think you are now from being ready for those big fights again, but this time to make them count rather than coming in as an opponent?
Yeah, I think when I boxed the Whites and the Ortiz, I only had 10 amateur fights, so I literally boxed Dylan White and Ortiz after 20 fights, amateur and pro. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Looking back now, I was mad, really. I was well out of my depth. I boxed Tony Oaken, only had 25 fights again. I was out of my depth again. But I think now I've been boxing Nick Webb and Nebo, British level, maybe pushing it a little bit with Nebo, but around a good level. You know, I've dispatched them in good fashion, do the same Saturday night. And then, you know, I'd like to fight again at the end of the year. And then next year, I want to win all the domestic titles. And I think I can, you know. I don't think there's anyone at domestic level that I can't beat. And I genuinely do think that I do like to have a laugh, and I do like to mess about. When I get in the ring, I always try, you know. And I think now I'm finally good enough to go with that effort level to win all these domestic titles. And who knows, you know, once you win them, you never know what can happen from that with a bit of luck.
I think the Nick Webb win, you know, in terms of your popularity as well, taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Newcastle, 8,000 people singing There's Only One Dave Allen was something special. This time, around 19,000 people in Manchester Arena. It's going to be special again.
Well, when I box, there'll be about 3,000 in, but, you know...
Well, I didn't want to say that.
hopefully get another good reception. Obviously, Sam Hyde's fans will be there. They'll remember me from the amateurs when I boxed Sam 7 years ago. Yesterday it was.
Who won?
Well, Sam didn't want me to mention me stopping him, so I won't mention that I stopped him.
You're a bit heavy for him, Dave, you know.
But yeah, you know, Manchester's... I love Manchester Arena. I boxed there before. I boxed Ortiz. So hopefully we'll have a different result. Hopefully a totally different night, I hope.
OK, Dave, thank you. A fight that was put together quite recently as well, and I think is a great example of where British boxing's at right now, is Richard Riakporhe against Sam Hyde. WBA International Cruiserweight Championship on the card. 2 undefeated cruiserweights. 2 fighters that probably 2 or 3 years ago would never ever take this fight at this stage in their career. But both guys ready, believe they can win, ready to gamble on Saturday night, and looking at a brilliant domestic cruiserweight division. Of course, top of the tree with the likes of Bellew, but more realistically for these guys, looking at the likes of Lawrence Okoli for the British title, Craig Glover with a good win recently as well, Isaac Chamberlain back on the scene as well. There's some really top cruiserweights domestically looking to come through right now. And Richard, firstly, with you, you're all over this fight, a big opportunity for you, and really thrown into the deep end on Saturday, but you feel, and Dylan and your team feel you're ready for this.
Yeah, I was thrown knee deep, but you know, I just feel like I'm able to mix it with at this level now. It's just with me, it was just a lack of experience, but you know, it's like learning on the job. So, and I don't mind. I love taking risks, and I think if you want to be a great fighter in this sport, you have to. So, I remember coming up to Manchester. This was back 8 years ago. I came to watch the Audley Harrison versus David Hay.
All right, we'll end that there.
I remember watching George Grove versus Kenny Anderson, you know, and I was just filled with admiration and respect for these fights. And if, one day, maybe I could do the same thing. And next thing you know, 8 years later, you know, I got a title fight here. It's absolutely insane, you know. And I'm just gonna come and give it everything I got. I believe I can win. And like Tony Bellew says, believe you and me, lad. Trust me, I'm going to give it everything. I'm bringing that title back to London. Simple.
Richard, tell us a little bit about your story. I know that, you know, obviously many have seen you in the ring, but growing up in London as well, you're a great advocate as well of how boxing can change lives.
Yeah, so I grew up in South East London. I got myself in a lot of trouble growing up. Been to jail, been stabbed. And, you know, I reached a crossroad where I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to continue with this lifestyle? Always paranoid, looking over my back, trying to survive, having to arm myself just to make sure that I don't get myself killed. And then I just found a boxing gym, the Lynn ABC, started training with Sam Mullen and everybody down there. And I just stuck at it, and I realized, you know, how much power I got in the boxing, in the sport. So I was getting a lot of TKOs, KO victories, and I wasn't taking it seriously at all. So I pursued it. It kept me off the streets, because what I noticed is that it was due to boredom. That's how I got myself in a lot of trouble. But the boxing stopped me from hanging around with bad influences, and I just stayed grounded. Next thing you know, I was doing better at boxing. I decided to go university. I graduated a degree at Kingston University, and ever since I never looked back. And it was the boxing that kept me grounded. If it wasn't for the boxing, I would have definitely been caught up in a whole load of different madnesses, and I'd probably been in jail for life. I got a few of my close friends that used to hang around every day. They're doing jail. They're doing life in jail now, and a few of them. So, you know, being here is a blessing. Trust me, things could have gone a different way.
Thank you. And if there's any politicians watching or local councillors, if you can't see time and time again what boxing does for young kids in the community, it is integral, and I think it can change a lot of paths and lives. Sam, again, you've been waiting for a few fights that have fallen through recently, and this chance came up, and you and Joe Gallagher took it with both hands, in your backyard, on a huge bill, chance to win your first title. Massive night for you.
Yeah, over the last few weeks I've had few pull-outs I've come from the small hall shows, obviously. Now on the big card, you have different financial problems with opponents, and it's just not happened for me. And now I believe all the stars have aligned to make this happen. What a bill on 2 cruiserweight championships, undercard. So massive thanks to you, Eddie, for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to grab it with both hands.
Cruiserweight division is red hot at the moment. You and Richard, both very talented, undefeated, good punchers as well. Should shape up for a great fight.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I've watched a bit of Richard. I don't believe he's fought anyone anywhere near as good as I am. And likewise, as a pro, I might not have boxed anyone as good as him, but all I know is I'm fit, ready for 10 hard rounds. So as long as he is, it's going to be a great night to start the Sky show off.
Will be a great fight, Hyde against Ria Kapori, kicking it off on Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN across America. A young man who, Adam Smith rightly said, just crowned Young Boxer of the Year. I see that award really as sort of young prospects emerging through. I see this guy as already a world talent, and I can't wait to see him back in the ring on Saturday night against Walter Castillo. He's been out for a while his partner's been giving birth, become a father a couple of days ago, already looking great and fresh. Pretty boy Josh Kelly. Josh, great to be back in the ring and as part of a huge show as well on Sky Sports Box Office.
It's a massive showcase. Obviously, the two best cruiserweights in the world going at it, and to be on the undercard and to get busy again is good, to say the least. Obviously, I had the little boy, so it's been a crazy week, but I've got my head on the game, and we've been training for long and hard for this. So we're just going to push through this fight and do the business.
As we said, had a couple of months out, for that experience, and now looking to get a good win on Saturday and hopefully get out in December as well in a big fight?
I mean, obviously Saturday comes first. I never overlook any opponents. I'm always focused. I know what can happen when you do overlook opponents. So I'm going in there Saturday. Like I train hard every time I go into camp. So I'm ready for I was ready for a title fight. So now I'm just going to push through for this fight, and then hopefully everything goes well, and then perform again in December.
See your Olympic Rio teammates. I know you're all your own people, but all those guys now merging into headline acts, you know, over the next few months, and also 2019, the likes of obviously Joshua Buatsi going well. Lawrence Okoye's picked up British and Commonwealth titles as well. See a real changing of the guard in British boxing with these young guns coming through, looking to headline shows in 2019.
It seems like everyone's in competition with everyone at the moment. Not just in your weight division, but just to outshine each other. So it's a healthy competition, and obviously competition breeds champions. And I'm ready to step up whenever and wherever, and get the job done. I'm here to become the best. I'm not messing about, so I can't wait.
Thanks, Josh. A fight that really did come out of nowhere was Scotty Cardle against Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns was due to box in America. We changed the location from Las Vegas to Kansas. All of a sudden, he preferred Manchester. And Scotty Cardle, who was, of course, down to fight Joe Cordina for the Commonwealth lightweight title as well. Paul Reddy, who works with us, just said, why don't we do Cardle Burns? I said, well, I'm not sure both those guys will be up for that at short notice. 2 phone calls later, deal was done. And these guys are up for the battle on Saturday night. Scotty, at the stage in your career now where you've got to take these opportunities, it's a no-win, no-lose situation for you, rather. And, you know, ultimately a great fight, one that's been talked about, I guess, before, but set to be a great fight between you and Ricky on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's been talked about before, obviously, with my Scottish background and that. And to be fair, getting in the ring with Ricky, it's an achievement in itself, but I won't be looking past anything. I'm obviously going into this game just over 6 years ago, turning pro. My 5-year plan was to be world level, and in all seriousness, I've underachieved. So going into a fight like this, it can fast track me to some big fights out there, and it can open some good doors for me. So I won't be taking it lightly. Obviously, I've been training for Cordina for the last 12 to 13 weeks, and it's been intense, the training. But I'm very grateful that Ricky stepped in, and I still get to fight. And the fight's on. I know what I've got ahead of me, and I'm in great shape, and I'm ready for Saturday night.
Like you say, you know, a victory against Joe Cordina could sort of propel you onto Commonwealth and British level, but a victory here on Saturday night could completely change the route of your career and put you straight in the line for some major fights.
I believe so, definitely. Obviously, Cordina he's an 8-fight professional, and obviously with a loss on his record, it won't really affect too much. But a loss on either our record on Saturday night is going to cost a lot. So I think we both know what's on the line. There's no needle in this fight, and like I said, I'm very grateful for him stepping in, but obviously when fight night comes, the respect will be left aside, and that'll come through after the last bell. But yeah, it's there's some there's big moments to come after this fight, I believe, and I've just got to make sure I'm on my game on the night.
Ricky, you know you'll fight anywhere at any time. You're just dying to get in there. You had a great fight with Anthony Crolla at the same arena not so long ago. Important fight for you on Saturday. You can't slip up in this fight. We know you've got plans, obviously, still major fights in your career, and not taking Scotty lightly ahead of Saturday.
I know, Joe. We get the phone call last week asking would we box on Saturday night. Me and Tony, we spoke about it. We jumped at the chance to win such a huge bill. But, you know, we trained for every fight the same. Obviously, we were down to box next week, so we were in full camp anyway. Training in that was going perfect. Obviously, I was meant to fight Joe Cordina, but I was there when Joe done his hand in the gym. Obviously, he said to rest it for a few weeks now, so unable to fight. I'm more than happy to, as you know, I'll fight MD at all. It doesn't really bother me. You just hit the phone and tell me. So we're looking forward to Saturday and getting in there and getting the job done.
I think it's fair to say a lot more to gain for Scotty in this fight than there is for you. Do you feel that pressure that you're expected to win on Saturday night, and really all the pressure in this fight is on you?
Not at all. I've been looking, obviously when you're on social media and you can see people are saying that, but maybe me, I treat every fight the same. We train for every fight the same, so this isn't any different. We just need to go out there, same as always, first couple of rounds, suss it out, and we'll take it from there. But we are confident to get out and getting the job done.
Obviously, you've been part of some huge shows as well. I mean, Crolla against Jordan is a great fight, and also as a boxing fan yourself, Usyk Bellew, just a wonderful fight.
No, Joe, the main event, that is the one for me. When it was first mentioned fighting in this show, not only do you get to box on it, but you get to sit back and watch the main event as well. Just fingers crossed that Tony can go out here and pull it off.
Cheers, Ricky. Look forward to that. Burns v Cardle on Saturday night. A chief support that could certainly headline its own card at Manchester Arena, and we've seen Anthony Crolla do that time and time again. I just watched a promo released from Matchroom that will be run across our digital space and also Sky later on, and it just brings almost tears to the eyes to remember the nights at Manchester Arena that Anthony Crolla has achieved. Now, when you look at the likes of Tony Bellew and Anthony Crolla, I see a lot of similarities. Guys who perhaps weren't expected to get to that place, but through hard work and dedication and smart work and good teamwork with their teams, have got there. You know, I remember getting a call in Las Vegas years ago when I was at the Amir Khan fight, and Joe phoned me up and said that Anthony Crolla had been in injury, had fractured his skull, he'd broken his ankle, and not just we felt like we'd lost the Richard Abril fight, but we felt like we'd lost Anthony's career. And when he got robbed of a decision against Darlis Perez in the first fight in Manchester, I just felt that there's no God. And when we managed to get the rematch and he stopped him, it was, and you know, watch this promo, it was just one of the most special nights I've ever felt, I've ever seen, and I think the boxing community feel the same as well. Fast forward to a great victory against Ismael Barroso after he just knocked out Kevin Mitchell. Many people expected Crolla to lose that night. He knocks out Barroso, moves on to challenge unification fight with Jorge Linares, and the Ring Magazine belts on the line. Very close fight in the first fight. Second fight, Linares was excellent. And now he's back with a chance to have another shot at a world title in a brilliant fight against Daoud Jordan. And you know, I've watched Daoud Jordan recently, one of the toughest competitors in the 135-pound division. Both these guys do exactly what it says on the tin. They're both going to come forward, meet each other head on. This is going to be an absolute war at Manchester Arena on Saturday night, and so much on the line. You know, the victory will lead you to the mandatory shot against the brilliant Vasily Lomachenko, and that's a tough fight in itself, but a special occasion. And Anthony Crolla will be doing everything he can to be victorious on Saturday night. And firstly, Daoud, welcome. How are you feeling ahead of this fight?
Good. First, I wanna let me use my Indonesian language, and I have translate behind me. Yeah. Yang pertama, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Matchroom Boxing atas kesempatan ini, juga kepada tim saya, Mahkota Promotion, Raja Sabta Oktohari, Simon, Eric, pelatih saya Pino Bahari, dan semua tim yang mempersiapkan saya untuk pertarungan ini.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to Matchroom Boxing for this great opportunity, and also my promotions in Indonesia, Mahkota Promotion, Raja Sabta Oktohari, Mr. Sim, Eric, and also my beloved great trainer Pino Bahari.
Now, this is going to be a great fight between two guys who love to come forward and expecting a brilliant fight.
Pertarungan kali ini tentu menjadi sejarah buat saya sendiri secara pribadi, karena akan ditonton oleh 265 juta penduduk Indonesia, dan saya bertarung melawan mantan juara dunia yang sangat hebat, yaitu Anthony Crolla, dan saya sangat menghormati dia.
This will be a great fight for me because it will be broadcast and lively and watched by the almost 265 million population in Indonesia. Then there will be a very respectable and honor for me to fight Anthony Crolla, which is I very respect to him, but there will be a great war.
Thank you. Anthony, first thing from those quotes is you're going to be a huge star in Indonesia on Monday morning. But you and Ricky are like the Benjamin Buttons of boxing. Every time I see both of you, you look younger every day. And seeing in the videos of you training and the pictures coming out from your S&C team and obviously Joe as well, in the shape of your career on Saturday night, I'm really, really excited for this fight.
Yeah, it's a fight I can't wait for, and it's a fight that puts the fear into me because I know what a good fighter that Dow Jordan is. It's gives you that extra bit of an edge to training, and you just mentioned it then with my team. And I think over the last year, I think people think that I'm on the slide. I think last time out in Cardiff, it wasn't exactly frills and spills, but I had a bad cut, got the win. But this, you just mentioned it earlier, this is the kind of opponent that I believe brings the best out in me. And my team, from the boxing side of things, most importantly, Joe believes I'm boxing better than ever. My strength and conditioning, I'm getting stronger and faster. And I look at all these little things and I think, if everything's improving around me, then I'm improving as an athlete and improving as a boxer. And I genuinely believe the best is still to come. And I will need my best on Saturday night to defeat Dowd. I bumped into him yesterday outside the hotel, him and his team, gentlemen, and we shake hands and we go to war Saturday night. I think anyone who knows boxing knows that stylistically this can't help but be a great fight.
And finally, obviously, the winner gets Lomachenko, but also the division opening up right now looks like Commey against Chaniev for the WBC. Luke Campbell might get a shot at the WBC title as well. Although Lomachenko is for the winner, a really interesting time in the division, and Saturday is a very important part of that.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I had people mention about Lomachenko having the belt. I won't look past this guy over here, Dow Jordan. It'd be disrespectful. And it's a tough enough fight on Saturday. But obviously that is a carrot that gets dangled. But we'll see what happens. You just mentioned other fights there as well. Some of the titles becoming free. But yeah, the winner on Saturday then becomes mandatory for the WBA world title. So the winner goes on to fight for a world title, or should go on to fight for a world title.
Thanks, Anthony. Crawler against Jordan is a wonderful fight. Chief support to the Usyk Bellew card on Saturday night, and so many great fighters and great matchups going to be leading us up to that huge main event on Saturday night. We're going to have head-to-heads at the front of this stage now, and then we'll have a short break and we'll resume for the Usyk Bellew press conference shortly. Thank you.
What a fantastic undercard we have here in Manchester on Saturday night, including this man who knows what it's all about when it comes to standing in front of a huge crowd in your own backyard, Anthony Crawler. And by the way, live in Indonesia as well, we understand, so 265 million people watching you. No pressure there?
Yeah, like Eddie said, hopefully I'll be a big star in Indonesia on Sunday morning. But no, listen, he's a very proud countryman, Dow Jordan, and also almost like, a national hero. So he fights for them. So I know that's exactly what he'll be bringing on Saturday night. It's going to be a tough fight.
Make no mistake, they'll all be rooting for him because he is one tough customer. A very, very tricky fight for you, this one.
Of course it is. I've got to be at my very best on Saturday night. If not, it won't be good enough. And if not, I don't get a world title shot next. But on the flip side of things, I come through on Saturday night. I've got another shot at a world title, which I believe I can win again.
At this stage in your career, we'd expect you to be maybe getting a little bit slower, a little bit older, etc. Maybe you losing your looks. No chance of that, obviously. But you say that you seem to feel like you're improving all the time.
I genuinely believe that. I've had the best camp of my career, I believe. And the people around me on the team, the boxing side of things, the strength side of things, conditioning side of things, I'm hitting times, targets that I've not hit before in my career. So I think if everything around me is improving, I'm improving as an athlete, I'm improving as a boxer, and I've got to show that on Saturday night.
Because you believe you've still got another chance at a world title before long.
I really do, and really on Saturday night, and I'll get that other shot at a world title.
Obviously, this is a WBA world title eliminator, the belt that you previously held, but it's currently held by Vasyl Lomachenko. Everybody would love to see you in a fight with him. There can't be many that can say they've been in with the likes of Jorge Linares and Lomachenko during their career. That'd be a massive feather in your cap.
Yeah, of course, it'd be a huge fight, and I'm not under any illusions. Lomachenko's one of the biggest names in the game. He'll do what he wants to do, but hopefully he gets a taste of the atmosphere on Saturday with his friend Usyk, and he thinks I won't mind coming back here, and it'd be great to sell out that arena for that fight. But first and foremost, I've got to beat Dow Jordan.
Absolutely no chance of you overlooking Dow Jordan. We know he's coming in with a great pedigree.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, if I'm not at my best on Saturday night, I'll come unstuck. I genuinely think it's going to be a great fight on Saturday night. Stylistically, I see at some point we're going to meet in the centre of the ring and I won't say swing away, but we're going to battle away, and it's going to make for great viewing.
We certainly hope so. Anthony, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Anthony Crawler, he's had some fantastic nights here in Manchester during his career so far. Fingers crossed, Saturday night will be yet another one.
against the wall. He thrives when there's no belief. When people like him right here is saying, listen, he ain't got it. He ain't got the skill. He ain't got the will. He hasn't got the capability to beat him. That's where Tony Bellew thrives. That's where the bomber, you know what I mean, starts dropping. So you're taking Tony Bellew to win. Listen, I'm telling you without a shadow of a doubt, I'm picking Tony Bellew to win this. And when I say without a shadow of a doubt, obviously there is a bit of doubt there. So it's not really without a shadow. There is an inkling of a shadow. It's not noon. It's not noon. You know, at noon there's no shadows. But it's maybe 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? But you've got a little bit of a shadow coming out there. Just a little inkling. Listen. Like I said, for me, his head versus head kick. It says Oleksandr Usyk is going to absolutely outbox him on the night. But listen, you can't. Listen, I stood here with you. Well, not here, but I stood here with you. When he fought David Haye second time. And listen, I remember you said David Haye was going to take it. Listen, you did. He did.
He did. Bellew surprised us twice. Here's the thing. He was the underdog in those fights. He was the underdog against Undercard, who were putting some far down to him. And it's hard to fight because he thought he'd never be able to fight again or even go to Everton again. It's his hardest night. This will be his toughest fight ever, technically. But you know what? I know him down to it.
You can listen. I keep saying you can't second guess it. Guys, don't forget. Listen, you won't find a better price than round by round betting than you buy a.
He's wearing a mask. He's wearing a mask.
He's a bit banded
He's
up.
wearing a mask.
He's got a balaclava.
He's done a Chisora. He's wearing the mask.
He's banded up.
Tony Bellew unmasked in Manchester in a few minutes.
He's got the gloves on like
Now, just going to give him it. Yeah, you can do.
He's got gloves on. He's unmasked.
Sit there,
It looks that way.
Exactly.
No fluorescent jacket.
I hope there's some stunts here. I hope.
Listen, there definitely will be. Listen, guys, listen. We are moments away.
Manager is here in the blue suit.
He is.
Eddie Hearns having announced he's doing good stuff in Italy. Monte Carlo, things are coming up. But you know what? Eddie's told us that this is the moment for him. It's one of the biggest fights he's ever promoted. Oleksandr Usyk, by the way.
He said it's the biggest. He said it's the biggest. The biggest.
Overnight, in the hostel that I'm staying.
The hostel?
At the bunk bed above me in the hostel that I'm staying. One of the Ukrainian journalists from Instant TV I was chatting to, he was on the top bunk and I was on the lower bunk. Yeah, listen, we're down with the people.
Listen.
He was telling me that 15 million people in Ukraine, 40% of the audience were watching the fight live.
I do not doubt that in the slightest. Listen, that's why Tony Bellew was a superstar.
He is a superstar.
It's starting to quiet down a little bit now.
Obviously, we'll just wait for Oleksandr to make his way onto the stage. He's unmasked. Maybe it was just about not getting cold in the gloves are off, the gloves are on.
Absolutely. You've got Mr. Bucket there. He's ready. Ready to get this thing kicked off.
Ready for a lady. And gentlemen, I will sing for you now. Anyway, we let some money.
Yeah, that's really is.
I wonder if Oleksandr Usyk's going to walk in on his hands. Do you know that?
You think he's going to bring the hat out? The hat with the little tennis balls? Tell him. Yeah, listen, we're just waiting. We're just poised. Everybody. The world's media right now are poised, ready.
I wonder if Alexander's lost in the arms.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was with him at breakfast this morning. Yeah. I was with that.
He's staying in your hostel.
Yeah, he's staying in my hostel. He's slamming out with me in the hostel. And not my women's twice.
I love that video that's playing the playback.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get underway with our press conference, but first, a very special presentation. As you all know, on the line Saturday night is the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship. And a very important part of that undisputed factor is the prestigious Ring Magazine Championship belt. So here to present it to Usyk, Oleksandr Usyk, for the first time, please welcome Mr. Tom Gray from Ring Magazine to make the presentation.
On behalf of the Ring Magazine editorial board, we hope that Alexander is honoured to hold this belt as what we are to give it to him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night here in Manchester, another great night of boxing at one of the great arenas here in the world for championship fighting. Now, what makes people want to pluck down their money for Sky Box Office and for the DAZN subscription? Compelling fights. Fights that are meaningful. Fights that really make a difference. Fights, and this fight in particular, the type of thing that comes from a Hollywood screenplay. You know, one of the most prestigious titles, as I recently said at a press conference, was the heavyweight championship. But in the world of boxing, to all fighters, the most prestigious thing you can have is all those alphabet belts, to be the undisputed champion. And that's what we have Saturday night. On the line, the undisputed cruiserweight championship of the world. An undefeated champion versus a fighter who has announced his retirement after this fight, a fighter that's come back time after time against all odds. What will happen Saturday night? It's right out of a compelling screenplay, and it's the type of thing that fans want to see. So here to tell us more about it, please welcome Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing.
Thank you, Michael, and I couldn't agree more. This fight, the biggest fight, the best fight, I believe Matchroom Boxing have ever promoted. The creme de la creme. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Everybody who loves sport, everybody who loves boxing, this is the pinnacle. The undisputed cruiserweight championship of the world. The opportunity to say, you are king. These two great fighters, we currently have the king of the division in Oleksandr Usyk. After 15 fights, already the undisputed champion, owning these 4 belts, and of course, this fantastic Ring Magazine belt as well. And to our left, we have one of the greatest success stories of British boxing. A man that has refused to give up and has come back and has won British, Commonwealth, European, world title belts, and now sits on the cusp of, like Michael said, a true Rocky story to become the undisputed champion of the world on Saturday night. A genius here and an incredible fighter to my left who talks about the potential of this being the last one, of there being peace after Saturday night. But as we all know, before peace must come war. And on Saturday night, I promise you, one of the most gripping, compelling fights you have ever seen in this country. An historic moment, the first ever undisputed fight in British boxing history. And we are incredibly proud with K2 as well, our partners in this event, to bring you a very special moment for the sport of boxing. And now, to ask the fighters a few words before we talk to Dave and Alex and Aegis as well, I'm going to pass over to one of our broadcasters this event, live on Sky Sports Box Office and streamed live on DAZN in America, our host broadcaster, the head of boxing for Sky Sports, Callum Smith.
Thanks, Eddie. I just want to send huge congratulations to Oleksandr Usyk for picking up another belt. Have a look at that. The treasure there, 15-0 and 5 incredible belts in front of him. I wonder if Tony Bellew will be taking those 5 back on Saturday night. 1 for Rachel, 3 for the boys, maybe 1 for Dave as well. Let's ask him. Tony, firstly, training camp has been long, grueling, hard. First time in a couple of years you've got to make the weight. Are you feeling as strong as you ever have in your life and as confident ahead of this almighty challenge?
I'm always confident, Adam. It's been a long camp, yes. I've been very diligent in the way I prepare. Making weight is not an issue. Oleksandr faces the exact same problems as I do when it comes to making weight. Me and him are very similar in size. We are basically heavyweights who have to make weight. This is the modern day system, and by moving the weight category to 200 pounds when it used to be, I think it was 186, that's what that allowed. It allowed the smaller heavyweights to come down, so it's not an issue. I've shown what I can do at heavyweight, and believe you me,
I will show even more what I can do at cruiserweight, because I am only faster, sharper, possibly even stronger at cruiserweight. But I go in here and for the first time genuinely in my life I feel like I meet a man who has exceptional skills, an exceptional amount of talent. He has everything I have besides that one thing, and that's the fact that I can switch someone's lights out within 1 second. And I don't care what he says, what his team says, what anybody says, I've had that ability since I was 12 years old. I learned it at school, and I'm still carrying it right now as a grown man. I can turn people's lights out with the blink of an eye. It's never happened to him before, but it could happen to him on Saturday night. Either way, I'm going to find a way.
Tony, people forget you had a terrific amateur career. You've shared the ring, both as a professional inside and under the lights, and in sparring with some great fighters over the years. Is Oleksandr Usyk the best, in your opinion, that you will ever share a ring with?
Yes.
Why?
He is the ultimate test. There is nothing this man cannot do, Adam, in a boxing ring. He's the most complete fighter I've ever faced. Everything he does is class. Listen, before this fight was done, I've always been a fan of Oleksandr. I've had friends interview him. He's amazing at what he does. If I wasn't fighting him, I can promise you right now, I'd probably be sitting in this audience as a fan of his. So, like I say, not for many fighters are as honest as me, but it is what it is. I think he's a fantastic champion. I remember my time in Ukraine, and he hadn't yet captured the likes of the European gold medal, the World Amateur gold medal, or the Olympic gold medal at this stage. But even then, everybody knew on that camp who he was. Everybody then knew he was an exceptional talent. Him alongside Vasyl Lomachenko, Glavatsky was there as well, the heavyweights who I was sparring. They're just the quality fighters. He's a brilliant fighter. I have nothing bad. I have no disregard towards this man. I just have to beat him up on Saturday or find a way to do the impossible. I want to tell you how. I really do. And I want to just blurt my mouth out and say, but then for once a little man next to me could probably beat me up now at this stage. So I'm going to just keep my mouth shut and say the only chance I have is a puncher's chance. I cannot outbox this man. He is a formidable opponent. He has everything that any boxer could possibly want. And even worse than that, he's an horrible southpaw. So he's great. I have no bad words at him. I know it's unusual for me to sit at a press conference and give someone so much credit, but there is nothing I could say, or I'll be honest, I wish his English was a bit better. I know he's bullshitting me a little bit. He does speak better English than he's letting on, but he doesn't speak good enough English that I can have banter with him back and forth and I can get him going. So I would have if I could have, I'm not going to lie. I do like a little bit of back and forth, but ultimately I admire him. Fantastic champion. And I'm happy this fight's happening. This is the most significant fight in cruiserweight history. It's the richest fight the cruiserweight division's ever seen. And you know who brought that to the table? I did. He brings the hardware, I bring the money. Never ever forget that. I've generated something that no one could ever see for me before it. Nobody cared about me when I was sitting on the floor in Canada as a failed light heavyweight. And I told the world that the reasons why it happened the way it happened. No one cared about me after the crazy, cleverly rematch, and everyone said it was terrible. Tony Bellew's crap, he's this, he's that. No one listened, no one believed. You know, they believe. A couple of people sitting here with me, the family at home, me team around me, my father, Gary Disley, my wife, my kids, they all believed. Every one of them believed, and look where I am now, and that's what belief can get you. I've failed many times. But right now I'm about to take the greatest step of possibly any British fighters ever took. And I'm going to do it on Saturday night.
Just finally for now, Tony, I know tactics are top secret. You've won your last 10 undefeated since that night in Canada. How worried are you that this last fight that you've gone on record and saying, you've told Rachel, you've told Dave, you've told Eddie, you've told all of us, it will be the last one on Saturday night. How worried are you about a final failure after so much recent success?
Do you know what, Adam? We all fail in life. Now, I have failed on a greater scale than anybody probably in this room has ever failed before. But you know what? I've also reached greater heights than most people in this room have ever reached before. And to reach the great goals, you have to take great risks, and sometimes they go wrong. Make no mistake, I can lose on Saturday night. If he's as good as everyone thinks he is, and as good as everyone says he is, then I could lose Saturday night, no problem. I've got no problem with that. But what would have haunted me much more was if I would have stayed retired. And then when he calls my name with all them belts around his waist, I just walk away. That would have haunted me. That would have haunted me. And it would have, I can't even think about doing it. So I made the phone calls. I made it happen. Yes, I can lose this fight. Not many people say, well, yes, I can. Of course I can. He's very good at what he does. Do I think I'm going to lose the fight? Absolutely fucking not, no. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to break his heart. And you look in my eyes when you say that, and I tell you now, mate, no, every single person will believe when I'm saying it. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get the monster. It's time to let a monster catch a monster. I'm telling you now, mate, I'm going to find a way. As good as he is, as great as he is, he's meeting someone with something inside him. I can't even put it into words what goes through my head. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I just know I'm going to punch him in the face really, really, really hard on Saturday night.
Oleksandr, welcome again to Britain. Fantastic to have you over here. How excited are you finally after your long training camp in the Ukraine? And thank you for letting us over to experience that. How excited are you for performing and defending all of those belts in Manchester here on Saturday?
Приветствую всех собравшихся,
Hello
команды.
everyone, teams.
Я очень вдохновлен, мне очень нравится атмосфера, которая происходит в Англии, в Манчестере.
I'm really inspired. I enjoy the atmosphere here in England and Manchester.
Я реально когда-то себе мог мечтать о таком, побывать в Англии, просто побывать, даже не том, чтобы боксировать. А в субботу я здесь буду боксировать.
Many years ago, I was dreaming about England, about visiting England. I couldn't even imagine that someday I will be fighting here in Manchester.
Я такой довольный, как маленький ребенок, который получил киндер-сюрприз.
I'm as glad as the small kid who received the Kinder Surprise.
Thank you.
Well, we're really pleased to have you here as well, Oleksandr. How dangerous is Tony Bellew as your big challenge?
Да, очень опасный парень, ростом как я, весом как я, злющий. Смотрите, на глаза на его. Конечно, опасный.
He is really dangerous. Look at him. He's the same height as I, the same weight. And look at his eyes. They're just angry.
Tony says that you're by far the best fighter that he will have ever shared a ring with. Do you think Tony Bellew is the best you've shared a ring with?
Совершенно верно, на данный момент, да.
Definitely yes. Tony is my best opponent ever.
So what do we see on Saturday? Tony's predicting a war. It's his last fight. I think everything will be put into it. What about from your side?
Что мы видим в субботу? Тони говорит, что будет война, потому что это его последний бой, и он положит все, оставит в ринге. Ты со своей стороны что будешь делать?
Я буду боксировать, я буду делать то, что я люблю, а люблю я боксировать.
From my side, I will be doing boxing, because I will be doing what I love, and I love boxing.
Самое главное, что и со стороны Тони, и со стороны моей будет желание проявить себя. Так что из этого получится очень великолепно красивый поединок.
The main thing from my side and from Tony's side will be to perform our best. And that's why I think this event will be a really spectacular one.
Thanks very much. We can't wait.
Thanks, Adam. And a quick word now from the two teams. Firstly, I'll start with you, Aegis, long-time manager of Oleksandr. You've made some big fights in your time, and we know you've witnessed also the great atmosphere that big British events bring. Excited ahead of Saturday night.
Hello, Manchester.
Very, very proud to be here, and of course, more proud to represent one of the best fighters in the world today, Oleksandr Usyk. As far as how big his fight is, we don't have to talk. We can see that here, right on the table. All these belts talks for themselves. So Oleksandr is going to be facing very tough opponent, Tony Bellew. I liked Tony Bellew as a fighter for a long time. I know I was watching him all the time. After his speech today, I like him well as a person. He speaks very highly and very professional. So I believe Saturday night we will see very, very good fight. It's the biggest fight I ever been involved, and I've been in a big fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Igis. Alex, just a few words. I just want to thank you and K2 Promotions and Igis as well. I can't believe that an undisputed fight has happened so easily, with no drama, with no tears, with no punches between the camps and the promoters. And it's been a joy to work with you and your team. Well, it is, yeah, we've got another 5 minutes. We all wanted this fight to happen. We all love this sport. And on Saturday, we get a very special moment for our sport and also a great, great fight.
Thank you, Eddie. Definitely, it was really a pleasure to meet you first and then to make it happen. It took us just 10 minutes to agree on all the issues, and I'm happy we are now here again in Manchester, speaking to media. And recently I have learned something special about the British fans. Never ever in my life I met the audience that is so deeply involved in sports of boxing. And just a regular fan knows more about their idol than probably standard journalist in the world. And that's really amazing. The crowd here is really unbelievable, is something special. Once Usyk comes to the street, people meet him, people want to take a picture, want to take his autograph, whatever. So that makes it amazing. And Usyk had a wonderful camp. He's here, ready to go. I saw Tony last night at the open workout, and you see him now. He's probably he used to have a good camp as well. So that means that Saturday night, just in a couple of days, endless days, but just in a couple of days, we're going to see a tremendous, tremendous fight, probably the fight that might become the fight of the decade. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Dave, a huge moment for you and Tony. Obviously, you know, we talked and we heard from Tony about the lows, and it's been an incredible run since then of 10 fights unbeaten and some great nights. Everton, of course, the two David Hay wins, and now on the cusp of doing something that very few do and making history, defining a legacy and becoming undisputed champion.
Yeah, I think you touched on it when you said about Tony Bellew. The story is a successful story already. You know, you look back all the way through his career, he was never supposed to be here. He was never supposed to be here, sat at this table with all these belts lined up, facing pound for pound one of the greatest fighters on this planet. He's made that happen, you know, through all the setbacks. Like he said, he believed, he put in the work. And I think he's a great advert to any kid that's out there that's starting out, that's actively pro now, had a few setbacks, that just because somebody else is in front of you and somebody else is more talented than you naturally, and maybe things are working smooth for them, there at the top there, you're grinding away, you're getting the setbacks. You keep working hard, you keep believing what you're doing, you can get there. He's at the top. This is literally the top table. You know, all these belts there, Saturday night, that's what he's going for. He doesn't have to. He could have walked away, like I said. He could have walked away. But then there are regrets. Saturday night, there'll be no regrets. He's done everything that he can possibly to get himself in the best shape. He's done the weight fantastically. You know, I spoke with you before, and that was my initial worry when this fight got made. And we said, you know, it was at cruiserweight. It wasn't going to be at heavyweight. It was at cruiserweight. My initial worry was, I don't know if he's going to make the weight easy. He's made it. I can't believe how he's been so professional. He's done everything right. And the weight is fantastic. The weight is not an issue. And on Saturday night, you're going to get the best version of Tony Bellew. and it's going to be the last version of Tony Bellew.
Obviously, there's been a huge amount of respect for Oleksandr Usyk.
Yeah, but he keeps bringing it up.
But make no doubts, the two of you and the team truly believe that victory will come Saturday night. You know how hard it is, but this isn't about a tribute act to Oleksandr Usyk.
No, listen, the one thing that works for me, it works for Tony, is that we understand what's in front of us. We always have done. Every fight, we understand the dangers of what's in front. You understand what that man in front of you can do. I think if you go into a fight like this, any fight, but if you go into a fight, you know, the David Hay fights, Carbu's, him, with Usyk, if you go into those fights blind, thinking it's not as good as what they say, it's all hype, you're walking into a minefield and you're going to get the biggest shock of your life, because he is legit. You know, he's a great fighter. And when you understand what's in front of you, you can prepare for it. You can prepare, but we have to prepare for every eventuality. You have to prepare for losing rounds. You have to prepare for being outboxed at some stages. You have to prepare for every bit. You have to prepare for a dogfight. He's prepared for everything. Whatever's going to happen on Saturday night, he's prepared for. And this is why, when you look at extensively and you're studying fights, every trainer out there, they all know the same thing. They've all been in positions where their man's the underdog and their man's facing a much better fighter on paper than your man. No fighter's unbeatable. No fighter's unbeatable. There's fighters that are unbeaten, but there's no fighter that's unbeatable. And if a man's lost rounds in his career, if a man's been hit in his career, he can be beat. And trust me, Bellew, it's hard enough to knock out anybody. It's hard enough to knock out anybody. His boxing brain's underrated. He can box with them. He can fight with them. But there's something inside him that you could never bet against him. And how many people have been out there and said that we've got no chance in this fight, but they're not going to bet against him because they've lost enough money in the past? You know, he's one of those guys that there's something inside him. That's why he's here today, and that's why he's got himself to where today. Regardless of what any coach has worked with him in the past, there's something inside of him that takes him to this level, and you can't train that. And that's what's going to make sure that on Saturday night, all these 5 belts are going to go back home.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Alex, Aegis and Oleksandr. And finally, Tony, one last word. This fight for you, not really about money, not really about crowds, pay-per-view. This is about, I believe, testing yourself. What is it that made you accept this fight? What does this fight on Saturday night mean to you?
I told everyone, and I was pretty adamant, this isn't about money. If I wanted money, I could have created a bit of drama with someone like, let's just say, Dylan White, a heavyweight. I could have done a gloves are off, I'd have rolled around on the floor and done 1 million pay-per-view buys overnight. That's just the truth, and that's the fact of the kind of numbers I can generate. And I would have earned double the amount I'm going to earn on Saturday night. And I'm not trying to say, I'm not fighting for free, not by any way of the means, but if it was all about the money, I would fight a much lesser fighter than Oleksandr and earn much more money. So I can put that to bed straight away. The reason I took this fight, it's the biggest challenge in my life. I always knew I could become a world champion deep down. I knew with the right scenario, the right fight, the right location, I will lift the world title. I did think also when I left the cruiserweight division, I was the best cruiserweight in the world. When I knocked out Lunga Makabu at Goodison Park, he was the WBC #1 for over a year. No one wanted to face him. Gregory Jaws pulls out. I come in. Oleksandr was still fighting 8 and 10 round fights at this time. And I done the unimaginable, and I knocked out another monster against all the odds. So when this one presented itself, I didn't ever think this would be possible. I didn't think boxing politics would allow it. I looked at the last time that a boxing tournament had happened, and that was Andre Ward with Michael Kessler. I think it was the Super 8, something like that. And what happened in that tournament, politics played a huge role. Injuries played a huge role. And the belts become fragmented, you know, distributed in different ways, and there was never really one face, one name, one champion. And I thought similar would happen at the WBSS, but it didn't. It all went to plan. And the man here became that one name, that one face, that one champion that every division needs in boxing, in my opinion. And now it's all at stake. And when he had all them 4 belts around his waist, the first name out of his mouth was
was me, which I couldn't believe. I genuinely still am shocked. I knew he knew who I was, but I didn't think I would be the first name out of his mouth. So I was flattered, but at the same time, believe you me, mate, I'd have fought that night in the middle of that bar on my honeymoon if I could have. That's where I found out he called my name first. So I'm here now, and I'm competing in a fight that I never ever dreamed would ever be possible, and that's what's got me up for it. I'm literally living the dream. I'm here fighting for the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and this little bad boy as well. It's unbelievable. From where I've come from, this was just a dream, an impossible dream. Even I thought this was way beyond me. I never thought this would ever happen. It's happening now. Oleksandr brings the hardware, and I bring the paper. On Saturday night, we're going to do an exchange. I'm going to give him all the paper he wants, but I'm going to steal his hardware. I'm telling you now. I got labelled the bank robber last time. Don't call me the bank robber no more. Call me the belt robber, because that's all I'm robbing Saturday night. I'm robbing all 4 of them belts, and I'm taking them back to Liverpool. Something that we never as a city, as a country, have ever even seen or dreamed of. No fighter from this country is ever going to do what I'm going to do on Saturday night. I'm going to do it. Believe you me. And you know what? Just so they give a parting gift, even after this is over, this fighter, he's going to go on and win a version of the heavyweight title. Mark my words. He is that good. So I don't want to hear no shit after this fight of, oh, he wasn't that good after all. He is that good. He's exceptional. But it's just styles make fights, and I'm going to prove that on Saturday night. I wish you the very best. I hope you're in the best shape ever, because Saturday night we are going to go to war, believe you me. Blood, everything, I will give it all, but I only wish you good and success. You're an amazing fighter, an amazing champion, but Saturday night, my friend, you're going to learn how to lose.
Thank you. Again, an honour to be up here, an honour to be promoting this fight. We thank you for your support, not just today, but in recent times in British boxing that's enabled us to create fights like this, moments like this. This is what we live for. And Saturday night, we're going to have a great night. We wish both camps the best of luck. May the best man win, and the winner will be king of the division on Saturday night. We're going to have a head-to-head, and both guys and camps available for interviews. Thank you very much.
Press conference over here in Manchester, and we've just had an incredible stare down between Oleksandr Usyk and this man, Tony Bellew. It was intense. The pair of you wouldn't take your eyes off each other. This just gives us an idea of how intense the fight itself is going to be on Saturday night.
It does, Fraser. I'm here now. The megastar, the superstar is here. I am here. All the belts are here. I could never have dreamed of doing something of this magnitude for all of this, what's at stake. Saturday night, mate, I'm going to achieve what I never even dreamed was possible.
Having said that, though, you've said it's not about the belts, it's not about the money. This is about the challenge, isn't it?
It is. It's about beating the most formidable cruiserweight potentially that's ever lived. He's done something that no cruiserweight's ever done before. So does that make him the best? Potentially, yes. I mean, I personally rank Evander Holyfield as the greatest cruiserweight ever, but this man has a say to say he's the greatest because he's done something Evander couldn't do. He's amazing at what he does, but he's going to learn to lose on Saturday night, and learn he will do.
You've been incredibly calm, very, very confident throughout this whole build-up so far. You tried to maybe throw out a few barbs for Oleksandr to maybe bite on, but absolutely deadpan from him. Does that surprise you at all?
No. There's nothing this man hasn't experienced. There's nothing he hasn't done. So it doesn't bother me at all, you know. I can't get back. He understands English better than he's letting on. I do know that much. But there is no mind games will affect neither of us going into this fight. This is a test of wills. How much do you want it, mate? Because I want it more than you. I don't care how much. I want it more than him. And I'm just hoping I can drag this fight into a place where we have to find out who wants it most. That's what I'm hoping I can do. I think I can. And when I do, we're going to see what I'm really about. Am I as good as I think I am, Fraser? Can I be greater than I ever thought possible? I get all the answers to the questions on Saturday night. I told Eddie and Barry, the last message I gave to the two of them together was, we're going to find out exactly how good I am. Saturday night, I get that answer.
You've said all along you feel as if you have a puncher's chance, which might sound a little bit unusual to a few people, but we've seen what you can do when you get that chance.
Oh, I can take it, and I can take it with either hand at any moment, but I've just got to keep... Yeah, all I've got is a puncher's chance. I've got to keep saying that, so I keep getting drilled. I've got to keep saying the same thing, so we'll see. We'll see on Saturday night. Can I box with the absolutely amazing boxer that is Oleksandr Usyk? Can I? Everybody tells me I can't. Let's see if I can.
He's been supremely confident as well, but
so
the puncher's chance, we're talking about it, that you have that knockout power. Do you think that might just be in the back of his mind, that there is the possibility that he could get knocked out in this
No, Fraser, he won't. You know, he's so confident, and so he should. This man's won every single thing he can win in an amateur boxing ring. He's won every single thing he can win in a professional boxing ring. He's planning his next step towards the heavyweight title, you know. He looks at Anthony Joshua as the kingpin of the division, and rightly so, and that's what he's targeting. It's very dangerous to look past someone like me. I've shown many times before what happens when you look past someone like me. You end up looking up at me from the floor. I believe the same thing is going to happen again on Saturday night. This guy is... It's a bit different from David Hay. You know, David, been there, seen it, done it, got the T-shirt. This guy's just arrived on the scene and is doing this now. It's, you know, he's targeting other guys in the division, but he's like I've said, he's well within his right to. This guy's undefeated. He knows, he doesn't know what losing is. He's unbelievable at what he does. So I've got to teach him on Saturday night how to lose, and I'm going to get to him. I'm going to break his heart. I'm going to find a way to get through the crazy puzzle that he poses, that he gives me. I believe I've got the answers already. I believe I'm going to do certain things in this fight that is going to upset the rhythm, that is going to upset the time frame, the mindset of him. And when I do it, I don't want to hear we're all shocked. I don't want to hear it was luck, it was what. Just, I don't even want the credit. You know, I don't care. I just want to get off and leave. I just want to go home. I'm looking forward to just finishing up. You know, really am. This is the end, and believe you me, I'm going out with a bang. This is going to be the greatest fight of my whole career. No matter what goes down Saturday night, this cannot be nothing but a spectacle of a fight.
We can't wait. Tony, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We wish you all the best. Saturday night, it is all going down here in Manchester. One of these guys is going to finish off as undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. Okay. Well, we're here with Oleksandr Usyk now, and we've got Alex here to translate for us as well. Oleksandr, first of all, we're very, very close now. You've experienced the Manchester atmosphere. Are you eager now just to get the fight underway?
Ты уже в Манчестере, как тебе атмосфера? Уже с нетерпением ли ты ждешь поединка?
Я знаю, когда он будет в субботу. Что торопиться-то? Суббота скоро бой. Атмосфера великолепная, все мне нравится.
I'm not really in a hurry because I know when Saturday, according to the schedule, and the fight is on Saturday night. So the atmosphere is beautiful, it's wonderful. I feel great, and thanks Manchester for a good exception.
Do you believe this is the perfect opportunity, the perfect stage for you to show everybody in the world just how good you are and how good you can be in the future?
Считаешь ли ты этот поединок возможностью показать всему миру, насколько ты хорош, зарекомендовать себя на будущее?
Наверное.
Most likely, yes.
What can you promise us on Saturday night? Do you believe you can come with a knockout? Do you believe you will put on a boxing display? Or are you just going to keep it a secret for us until we get to see you on Saturday?
Можешь ли ты немножко рассказать, как это будет в субботу вечером? Это будет досрочная победа, или это будет все раунды, или это все-таки секрет?
It's secret.
I think that answers that one. How much respect do you have for Tony Bellew, for what he's achieved in his career, and how much respect do you have for him for taking this fight on as well?
Насколько ты глубоко уважаешь Тони Беллью за все его достижения, и каково твое уважение по относительно этого поединка, который будет в субботу?
Я каждого своего оппонента уважаю, даже не по достижениям, а потому что они люди, а я как православный христианин, моя вера учит любить, уважать, созидать, помогать, так что вот я это и делаю.
I respect everyone, not just because he's my opponent, not just because he's a fighter, but because he's a human being. I'm an Orthodox, and my religion teaches me to respect everyone, to treat everyone with honor and all things like that.
But in terms of your career, how important is it to not only win this fight, but perhaps win in style as well, and maybe send a message to other fighters, because we're talking about you maybe moving up to the heavyweight division as well. Anthony Joshua is out there, that name has been mentioned. Is it important that you do a real stylish job here on Saturday night?
Насколько важно для тебя стиль, в котором ты проведешь этот поединок, для того, чтобы сделать заявление на весь мир другим бойцам? Ты будешь переходить в другую весовую категорию. Как ты к этому относишься? Там есть Энтони Джошуа, есть другие ребята супер тяжелого веса. Важно ли для тебя заявить своим стилем, показать им, месседж им отправить?
Мне кажется, мы слишком забегаем наперед. Для начала надо выполнить ту задачу, которая перед нами стоит. Какой стиль я буду исповедовать? Свой стиль. Мне главное не отходить от своего стиля, выполнить то, что лучше всего у меня получается, и я, дай бог, буду это делать. А потом, после того, как у нас все получится, дай бог, можно уже будет о чем-то разговаривать. На данный момент переливать туда-сюда воду, нету смысла.
We are running too much ahead. I have a fight on Saturday night, And before talking about the style, I need to comply with all the assignments that my team gonna give to me. And after this, when I'm ready with the victory, then I will be ready to send a signal for the future. Until Saturday night, it's too early.
Just finally, I know you speak a little bit of English. Can you maybe give us just a little message in English for the fans who are going to be watching here on Saturday night?
Thank you so much, my fans, Great Britain.
Thank you very much, Oleksandr. Thank you very much indeed, Alex. We wish you the very best of luck on Saturday night. This man puts all his titles on the line in Manchester.
You're clear, thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're going to match on now.
On the good side, so I don't mind.
Well, let's have a word with the man who hopefully has the plan for Tony Bellew on Saturday night. Dave Caldwell, his trainer. No pressure on you on Saturday night, then.
Listen, we're used to pressure. Don't worry about that. We've had this all in the past, and it's only fitting that we go out on another high-pressure occasion.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? Tony is so diligent in the way he works. Just give us an idea of what it's like to be in the gym with him day after day.
Oh, listen, it's great because you've got a professional, a consummate professional that gives his all and gives you 100%. You know, as a coach, you should be giving your fighters 100%, but you want your fighters to give 100% back, not 90, not 95, 100. And he's, you know, you'll see on the scales tomorrow, the worry was always coming back down to cruiserweight. And when he walked into the gym and I saw the state of him and the size of him, and then he got on the scales. And
to be fair, he'd been on honeymoon.
Yeah, but that was still my problem to deal with. That was my worry. But, you know, he's done everything fantastically right. He's sharp. Just his little movements and everything. He's made the weight great. He's made the weight great, and he's prepared right. You know, we know that this is the toughest task of his career. This is why, you know, he chose it. He could have sat at home and just let Usyk do what he does, but he wanted to get involved. And today, it's a case of you're looking at all those belts lined up, and that's what it's about.
The difference, though, I guess, for many is the fact that Tony will be a little bit lighter, perhaps a little bit sharper, a little bit faster as a result. But will he still carry that knockout power?
I believe so. Feels like it when he's hitting me. Everything's how I wanted it to be. So as a coach, when you go into a fight, you have things that you need for your own inner confidence. It's not good me talking and saying, oh yeah, I feel great, I feel confident in my man and everything like that. If inside I've got butterflies because I think, oh, it's been a nightmare, he's not on it. I'm happy with where we're at. Same as I was happy before the previous couple of fights. You know, going into the fights when the world thinks that you're going to get beat, you sit there and think, okay, I understand your opinion, I respect your opinion, but I believe my man's going to win. And Saturday night is the same thing, same old story. You know, everybody's writing Bellew off. It's a massive, massive task. It's the biggest task of his career, but I believe it's going to be the greatest achievement of his career.
Will it be the greatest achievement of your career as well, given all the fighters that you've been involved with, all you throughout your boxing life? Will this be the biggest one by a long chalk?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, there's just a moment there when I was sat on the table there at the press conference, and I just looked at every one of those belts, and I just thought, how was a kid like me ended up sitting at a table on an event, looking at all the media that's here, and looking on a table that's got every single belt available in boxing? how have I ended up in this? Oh, I've ended up because I've worked with Tony Bellew, and he's got there. He's brought us there.
We can't wait. Dave, thanks very much indeed. We wish you the very best of luck. Dave Caldwell, who of course is Tony Bellew's trainer. Fingers crossed he is the man with the plan on Saturday night.